Well, good evening. How's everybody doing this evening? Just wanted to follow up to my Alaska series and share with you how to do some trip planning. I know I had some questions on that came up, so I thought I would get on here and try to help you out a little bit and show you how I planned my trip. You can certainly do it several different ways, but this is how I worked on mine. I didn't stick strictly to this. There were some deviations from it, but at least it gave me an idea as far as mileage, how many days it would take, how many miles per day would be averaged on this. So I just plugged in some points of interest. So those of you that are Android or want to use Google, this is simply just a Google map. So you can actually create your own Google map and kind of label it anything that you want, and then just plug in the points that you want to visit. So we'll start down here in Ohio at point A, which is Dayton, Ohio. And you can kind of see the route that I went. If you followed in the video series, pretty much stuck to this. There's a couple of deviations, and I'll point those out to you. But as you go along, you can plug in these points. And I actually wound up here in Fargo, North Dakota on at the end of day one, I believe, pretty close to it. And then kind of went up here through Grand Fork and over through Minnesota up to the northernmost point. So I didn't actually take this route here, kind of went over and up and then got back on the Trans Canadian Highway and went all the way up through Yorkton and, well, actually, all the way through Saskatchewan, Alberta, Edmonton is right here, and then kind of went on up through Grand Prairie, and I believe Dawson Creek is right here, just as you come into British Columbia, and then I kind of went up and I believe that's Whitehorse or pretty close to it. Signpost Forest, and then Whitehorse is right up here. So went up through Whitehorse and then kind of deviated again and got off the Alcan, went up, and this is the start of the Dempster Highway. So I made it a good little bit up just south of Fort McPherson. So I made it right in this area here a little bit, and then turned around and came back down. The ferry was actually out. I can't remember if it was this ferry or the next ferry up that was out, but I got close to Tuck, but not quite. So we'll have to try that again sometime. And I came back down over to Dawson City, top of the World Highway. Actually, Dawson City is right here. And took the ferry here. This is not highlighted because when I actually did the map back in the winter, this route is closed during the winter because of the amount of snow that they get there. But it was open in June when I took it, June of 24. Some of the roughest roads were right here between Chicken and the border. I tell you what, some of these right in here, that was pretty much just as bad as portions of the Dempster. So came back down and went over here to Toke. I believe that's Toke. And you got to stop there at, can't remember the name of it, but I'll find it here in a second. Eddie's, Fast Eddie's, somewhere right in here. Don't know where it is, but Fast Eddie's is up. There it is. Yeah, good food. You got to try that if you take this trip. But then right here at Toke, you basically have two options. If I zoom out here and show you the overview, you can either go counterclockwise in this circle or you can go clockwise. So since my last resupply point was down here in Whitehorse, um, I thought it best to do counterclockwise and go up here to Fairbanks. So Delta Junction right here is the end of the Alcan. And so you want to make sure that you stop there and get your certificate. I think it's $3, $5, don't really remember, but at least you can prove that you did it. It's a nice little 8 by 11 that you can frame. So then I went up here to Fairbanks, and there's some points of interest here, of course, but actually went into Fairbanks, resupplied, and then the remainder. Um, this goes up the Dalton Highway. I didn't make it too far up the Dalton. I had already crossed the Arctic Circle over here on the Dempster, so on the I think I made it, yeah, right there. So I made it right in this area here, right before the bridge. So I didn't go up to the Yukon River. I'd already crossed the Yukon over here on the ferry out of Dawson City. So I went up there and I came back down and went through Denali. Is here, Healy. That's where the replica of the bus 142, I believe. That's where they have that in Healy. At the there's a brewery right here in Healy, so you want to stop and check that out. Don't let's see. Yep, 49th State Brewing. That's where it is. So you want to stop there, check out the bus on your way through. And then I went on down. There's a couple of camping spots in here. I think I'll do a separate video on my camping locations. There's no big secret to it, but some people seem to have some issues trying to find places to park for free. So there's tons of them. But down through Willow here, and actually, I think this is Palmer. Yep, right there is Palmer. Palmer is a good resupply area. Not as good as Fairbanks or Anchorage, of course, but it's decent. Come down here. This should be Anchorage, and there's tons of stuff here in Anchorage. If you're going to fly in, I would suggest that you fly into Anchorage. The airport in Fairbanks is decent, but it's not the biggest. So you got two options: Fairbanks or Anchorage that you can fly into if you choose to do that. So turning an arm is right here. That's a great area. Came down through here. One of the day trips was actually over here to Whittier, Alaska. You go through the tunnel. I think that's the tunnel there. Yeah. So that's a definite that you have to do there. It's very interesting to go through that tunnel and come over here and check out Whittier. But that was a side trip. Continued on down, and let's see, where was it next? Here we go. Right here is a good spot to stop for fuel. Um, any supplies. It's a fairly decent sized town there. They've got pretty much anything that you need. In case you miss Anchorage or you've been out for a few days since Anchorage, it's a good stop. And then you got to go to Anchor Point down here. Anchor Point is the furthest west that you can drive in North America. So, and actually, to be specific, right out here to Anchor Recreation Area. So it's right out there on the tip, and I really enjoyed that spot there. So, and then of course you've come this far, you got to go all the way down to the Spit, down to Homer. Check that out. Tons of stuff to do down on Homer. There's a good observation point right up in this area. There's a pull off somewhere up in here. Here you go. And it's a good overview of the spit. Get some great pictures from up there. And like I said, tons of stuff to do down here on the spit. Of course, it's a dead end, so you got to head back. But you could go over and check out the parks over here if you want to take a ferry. I didn't do that, but went back up and over here to, I believe this is Seaward, right in here somewhere. Yeah, so I went over to Seaward, checked out some points of interest in Seaward. Seaward is a big cruise port, not a big one, but there it is, one of the cruise destinations there for the cruise terminal. So you may have cruised in there if you took an Alaskan cruise. Went over there for a day trip as well. Came back out. Moose Pass is very interesting. Then I went back up through Palmer. There's a couple spots here in Glacier View that I stayed at a couple nights. It's a beautiful spot up there as well. And then I went over and started to plan my trip through Glen Allen and go down to Valdez, Alaska. Valdez is right here. Um, Beautiful spot down there as well. Checked out the hatchery. I didn't get to see any salmon there at the time, but I think I was a few weeks early on that one. But some beautiful waterfalls down through here, down to Richardson. You go through the pass up here. That's a nice area right up in here as well. Another glacier that you can literally pull off the road and take a look at right here. You just pull in right here, and it's literally right off the road. But yeah, so I went down through there. This part here I didn't do. I'd already put my car through enough after the Dalton and the Dempster, so I didn't want to push my luck. There's some gravel roads that goes over to McCarthy there, so I didn't want to push my luck, so I didn't do this little stint here, but went back up through Glen Allen, and I didn't do this stretch here, but I took the cutoff through Paxson. Um, a lot of people seem to kind of miss Paxson, but there's some nice scenery up through here. If you, especially a couple of these lakes that you go by. This one and Summit Lake right here. You got to stop there when you go through as well. Some very clear water. Some great camping locations through here as well. And then came back out in Delta Junction again. So went back up, staged for a few days in the Fairbanks area again. There's a spot right here, if I remember correctly, up Chino Lake Recreation Area. Spent a few days there. That's a nice park, large park, very large, just north of I believe there's an Air Force base right in here somewhere, if I remember correctly. That's a good area. And then if you want to take a day trip and run over to the Ice Museum. Ice Museum is out in this area. I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's not too far out. It's over in here. And Ice Museum. There's some Alaska State Parks over in here as well. Yep, a recreation area. So it's a nice area. You gotta go check that out while you're up there. And then after I got everything serviced up in Fairbanks, the funds were running a little low, so I had to kind of modify my trip. Planned on stopping in a few additional places on the way back down through Canada, but had to kind of cut that one short. There's Air Force Base I was talking about. So anyway, I came back down Richardson there, back down, hit the Alcan right here in Delta Junction. And this is where I actually finished up the Alcan, the section that I had missed, down through Beaver Creek. Spent a night in Beaver Creek. It's a nice area there as well. Destruction Bay, a lot of people have mixed feelings about. I actually truly enjoyed it. I guess the road can be bad through here at times, but I had no issues. I got some great pictures along here as well. So, uh, beautiful area. I really enjoyed it right around in here as well. So I went back over, stopped back in White Horse over here once again, resupplied, and then went down to all the way back over here. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. All the way back over here to Signpost Forest, which I believe is right here. Yep. So stopped there, got some fuel again, and then I went back over here and started to Stuart Cassiar. So this is a very desolate road, very different than Alcan. There's hardly anything there at all. Jade City down here. It's like one little store for tourists. You get your picture made there by the bear. And then after that, there's a fuel stop down here somewhere. Um, Thought I had it marked on here, but maybe I don't. Yeah, I guess I don't. But yeah, there's not a whole bunch on that road. If you don't like traffic, then it'll be a good road for you. But I actually came back down, and I was going to go all the way down through Prince George and down to uh, Vancouver here, and go over on to Vancouver Island. But unfortunately, I didn't have enough time or funds to do that. So I actually skipped this little node I had drawn in here and continued straight on down. I believe this is Calgary, or pretty close to Calgary here. Um, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the parks. You got to go to Jasper and Banff. Actually, Banff was more interesting, I thought, than Jasper, but Jasper comes first, and then you actually pay for this whole stretch here, so you might as well do them both. And then go down here to Calgary. Um, Kind of got things put together. Unfortunately, it was a Sunday when I went through there, so I couldn't cash back in my Canadian funds, and that's in a different video if you want to watch that as far as how much this trip cost. But um, I would suggest that you cash it in a bank in Canada before you come back. But Sunday morning just didn't happen. So anyway, I came back down, crossed back over the border. I have a total of 6 border crossings. I have another video out on crossing Canadian border and do's and don'ts, so you can check that video out as well. But came down here to Glacier National Park. Took going to the Sun Road. It's about 50 some odd mile road that goes from basically the very east to the west to West Glacier. I had no issues going east to west. I guess some people have issues getting in the park if they come in from the west. But after I went through the park, circled down, back up through the other side here, and headed back over. I actually decided to go down through South Dakota instead of North Dakota, so I didn't take the stretch here across all of Montana and into North Dakota. I actually worked my way down through to Billings, and from Billings, I went down to Gillette, Wyoming, And then over, did a couple of highways here, Needles, and another one here in the Rapid City, Sturgis, Custer area. And then made some stops here in Wall, Badlands, stopped there, a couple of missile silos along 90 here, and went back over to Sioux Falls. And then I went down through just on the other side of Omaha here is Council Bluffs. I stayed on the Iowa side and then went back up all the way out 80 here through Des Moines and then down through um, Illinois. So Davenport, Peoria, Bloomington, back into Indianapolis, and then back to Dayton. So didn't want to drag this video out too long, but some people said, well, how did you plan that? And, it took about 8 months I worked on this project. So, you could certainly do it a lot quicker than that. You don't have to do a map. It was nice to have the map so you have a reference once you get out there, because the map you can download offline, because you're not going to have self-service in a lot of these areas. And if you don't have Starlink for internet access, then you're going to be very limited. So I would suggest that you download the Google Map portion. That's what I did for every day, and then I would delete it and download the following or the next day's map. That way, I had a point of reference, and it was easier than looking at a paper map. A lot of these roads, you're not going to pass them up, but a few of them you would if you didn't have a map. And also the milepost, I had it. I never really opened it. Just stop at the visitor center in some of those cities, like Dawson Creek, Dawson City. You can stop in Fairbanks, Anchorage. Um, they'll give you everything that you need for free, so you don't need to buy the milepost. You certainly don't need the most recent one. If you're going by yourself, you don't have time to read it mile by mile anyway. If there's two of you in the car, then it might be nice to have some reading material to know what's coming up around the next corner, but you certainly don't need it. So I'll save you a couple bucks on that one. But I'll go ahead and do another video here soon on camping locations, and probably throw in the top 5 or top 10 places in Alaska that I would say is a must see. So I'll make that another video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good night.